All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video. In this one, I am interviewing one of our students from the six-figure marketing consultant community, Luke Voigt, who actually landed a $12,000 upfront client. He actually went from scratch. His agency was completely wiped out due to COVID, and he had pretty much nothing going for him in terms of revenue. Took a last-ditch effort in investing into our help, and we were actually able to help him build out a funnel to attract clients. He used that funnel to then sell tons of $2,500 a month retainers for his agency, and then eventually use that to scale, which is really, really, really cool to me that somebody took our concepts and actually expanded on them and was able to sell a $12,000 upfront package. I had him read a couple sales books that I recommend, put him through our sales training, and he's been able to succeed really, really, really well. So without further ado, my good friend and student, Luke Voigt. Welcome to the channel, my friend. Before I get into this, schedule your call down below if you are ready to take your agency to that next level, your consulting business, your coaching business, whatever it might be that you're doing. We help you master sales, inbound client attraction using ads, sales funnels, and organic marketing. And we help you pick your niche and go hard in whatever niche it is that you're going after and become an expert in that arena and be able to sell packages like what Luke has sold today, this $12,000 package. You know, I've sold a handful of packages like this, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 upfront packages, and it's always one of the coolest experiences as an agency owner because you'll realize that it's actually strangely an easier sale than, you know, these like typical $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 a month retainers that most people focus on. Like a huge package like this is not harder. It is weirdly easier to sell this because for the most part, these clients are decision makers and they're ready to go. And you can just have a very upfront conversation with them about what you want to do for them and about what they need. And they've got their credit card out and they're ready to go. So you just go on the spot. So I think Luke would have made this a one-call close if it weren't for the fact that the client's card got declined because they had like a limit on the spend, I think. So we had to like wait a couple days for them to mail him a check, I believe. So that being said, welcome to the channel, Luke Voigt. This is a long overdue interview, so I'm just going to get right into it. Obviously, the recording starts a little weird, so we were already talking, and I just click record on the Zoom, so apologies if the start to the video is a little strange, but off we are anyway. Welcome to the channel, Luke. All right, so I just threw on the record button. We were kind of already talking. Welcome, Luke, but you were saying how'd the deal go down? So you closed a $12,000 deal. Today's a $14,500 day. From what you've told me.
Yeah, so closed two deals. Well, closed the first deal a couple days ago. Check just came through today. The other deal closed, my first one-call close for on the agency side, on the course side. I've had a couple one-call closes thanks to your help. Nice. So yeah, dude, $14,500 just today.
Freaking crazy, man. So obviously, you know, this is a crazy interview. Like, not everybody's going to be at Luke's level. I think one of the things that sets Luke apart is that from moment one, when he first joined our program, he's just been like he's followed instructions to like a degree that like I aspire to be the level of student that you are to people that you're learning under, because I just put like a bunch of money into a mastermind that I'm in. And I'm like, man, I like literally I admire you and your ability to just like take in information through a filter and apply it. So
thanks, man.
Tell me, dude, like, what's the journey been like so far? Like, where were you before you joined? How's it been so far? And like, just kind of help people understand how on earth you do this.
Yeah, so, you know, I think that it's definitely been a long journey. So a quick backstory, I'll try to condense it too for those of you who are watching. About a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I started my social media marketing agency. First year was going pretty well. I was closing some clients, but I was having some issues. And basically when COVID hit, I lost all my clients. I was pulling in about 20,000 a month at that point, lost it all. And it had to do with issues that I had in my business, which Trey has been helping me correct. Some of the issues were on the sales front, some were on the delivery side of things. But basically I went to zero and I wanted to reorganize at a higher level. That's why I reached out to Trey, and I wanted to be able to scale better, quicker, and actually deliver and have higher client retention rates. And that's why I reached out to Trey. So I basically went 5 months with zero collected payments after reaching my high of like 20 grand a month. So I went 5 months, nothing came in, and I was getting very, very depressed, very scared. And basically my money was hitting zero. And right before I met Trey, I was about to make a decision to either renew my lease in downtown San Diego. Our rent was very high. And I was either going to do that or hire Trey as a coach. Decided to hire Trey as a coach. I actually moved back in with my parents to make that decision. So I moved back in with my parents. Trey's been helping me with the coaching. And then flash forward, did a little bit of reorganization as I went through the move, but really I'm in the first month of onboarding new clients with Trey's help. And we're only 2 weeks into this first month, and I'm at about $18,000 in revenues, most of which is profit. And saying that out loud is pretty mind blowing after going 5 months collecting zero payments. And with Trey's help, I've been able to double my prices, increase my delivery. So my client retention rate is going to be a lot higher now. Like right out of the gate, I just launched one of my first clients. We're getting results on day one. And nice. Previously I had a lot of issues with delivery, but I'll pause there. I just said a lot. So I'll pause there if you want to ask any
kind of pick it apart a little bit further. Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's amazing, man. So like, I think most in general, like most agency owners don't understand the power of like inbound. So it's like, that's been my focus from moment one with other people that join us at the mastermind level, like you joined us. I'm just like, all right, like, how do we build a funnel that can like attract clients for you? So we have the makeup that we teach you guys. Yes. So speak a bit to just like, if you could just like, because honestly, I have such a hard time convincing people like the power of building a process that works for you. Your calendar is like full, right? Like literally you like we're about to have a sales call before me, but it happened to be a no-show. So you're like, all right, squeeze you in today. But, like you're back to back all day right now, right?
All day, every day. This is like the third week of that. Speaking to the process, it's been quite simple. I think that really it can be broken down into just having the proper funnel. It doesn't have to be the complex funnel. Once we have the funnel in place, we drove traffic to it. And once we're driving traffic to the funnel, as long as the funnel is converting, well, calls come in and then you have your opportunity to sell. And that's the third part of it is selling. So in terms of setup, man, it's embarrassing how little time and effort I had to put into the initial setup, like compared to the previous way I was doing things.
No idea. People have no idea. It's like, I've always said, like, if you are a digital marketer and you're not using digital marketing to get clients, then like you're a hypocrite. So I just like,
I was there.
Yeah, you were there.
I was using cold emails to get my clients, and I still use cold emails. Like it's great, but
it
like
works.
if you're not moving on and evolving and going to something that's more scalable, like using paid media with one of the funnels that you implement, then like you're frozen, you're stuck, and then you also can't charge the prices that you want because you don't really have the abundance of like what I have now or what you have, which is like you look at your calendar and it's just boom, 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 boom. Like you control the flow. Like I can say next week I want it booked out or slow down depending on what's going on.
It's that like feeling of like, if this prospect says no, I genuinely don't care. Like I have like 20 sales calls this week. So it's like, say what you want, like not even like 30 sales calls. It's just like, packing the calendar. So there's different stages that agency owners go through, in my opinion. The starter is like, you're sending cold emails, doing the basic stuff, cold calling, whatever. You're getting clients, getting your feet wet. And you can get to like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month doing that. Like the $10,000 to $20,000 a month jump is like, you need to build a brand, build authority, structure out your service a little bit further. Like getting to like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a month, in my opinion, you cannot do it without the process that you have right now. And I've been through every step of that journey. So like the biggest thing the hardest trigger for me to pull was the mental shift of knowing like, all right, if I could just get a solid cost per acquisition in the door for my business. Like if I just knew a number, like what's your number for a sale? Do you have that on hand right now? Like how much do you have to spend on ads to get a client? Like, do you know?
With the new close today, I mean, I think we're about $1,000 to get a $2,500 recurring. And I don't want to be quoted on that without looking at the exact numbers,
Right,
but
for sure, for sure.
before the sale today, it was about 1,300. So we just hit a
As
sale
long as
today.
you're
I think
not
it's
quoting
about
us on
1,000.
any of this. Yeah, as long as viewers aren't quoting us. Like, and I'll
No.
probably see if I can like share some resources or something below to show them the KPIs or something. But like, yeah, I mean, like it's an interesting thing. Like, you really just when you get to a point where you can control the flow and you're making decisions off of data instead of off of these like emotional, like I'm gonna send 50 cold calls and hopefully one picks up, and you're sending a bunch of emails and you're like, all right, like should I change the headline? There's no data driven decisions there. Like, we're able to tweak your funnel because of what people say on these sales calls. And you're noticing like one of our group calls that we have in the program, you were like, hey man, I'm getting tons of calls, but they're like lower quality. How do we adjust that? And I just talked about friction and adding friction into the funnel so you get higher quality. So it's just high level stuff. Once you have a little bit of revenue in place, the best place to put it is back into the front of the machine. But
Yeah.
dude, just speak to, if you would, like, what's your advice for like people who got knocked out because of COVID? Like, because that happened to you and that sucks. But now you're not only on track to recover, but like you're on track to like quadruple where you were, honestly. Like just straight off. You are going to blow away your previous $20,000 a month mark. And you had a $14,000 day today. Just today. If you pour that back into ads, what's your cost per acquisition? $1,000. So I mean, like at least you're getting at least 8 or 9 clients, and that's considering like the cost per acquisition maybe rising a little bit. So speak to a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so like I think that it's very reasonable at this point for me to believe that I can get 2 to 3, maybe 4 new clients per week if I just carve away the time to do the sales calls. And for the original question, like what do I recommend to people going through maybe lost their business or had to scale back because of what happened with COVID? It's just like same thing with any type of adversity in your life, like use it as an opportunity to reorganize at a higher level. And I look at all adversity like that, breakups, relationship, well, you use that to, tell you what you've got to do differently on the next one and selecting your potential mate or your own behavior. So same thing for business, right?
I love that phrase because I've heard you use that a lot, like reorganize at a higher level. It's like you hit adversity. Like, do you know where you learned that, or is it just kind of an intuitive thing for you?
Probably like spiritual type studies, and it's all kind of into the concept of transcendence, which is to reorganize at a higher level. That's really like what transcendence is. So I do a lot of meditation and studied a lot of different philosophies.
Yep, that's freaking cool. Yeah, because I've heard you use that on some of the group calls before. Like you'll be helping the students or something. They're like, all right, this is an issue, but like we could just like use this and like reorganize at a higher level. That always like was super cool to hear because I started using it myself actually. I really liked it a lot. So like, go ahead.
I was gonna say it kind of goes back to one of the phrases we both like, which is that 30,000 foot view. That's what we're doing. Like when we say let's take that 30,000 foot view, what we're talking about reorganizing at a higher level. Like we're stepping outside of all the micro problems of the business, which is like, oh, like what's on my form? How do I execute the Facebook ad? And you're stepping out, looking down at it all from that bird's eye view from 30,000 feet up, and you're organizing things up there. And then it kind of just works itself out as it ripples down into the micro floor level of the operations on your daily basis actions.
Yeah. I think that was one of the things we talked about in one of the calls was like we had all of our students there, and I was just like, all right, guys, like, remember, like, we have like, there's 2 places you can be as an entrepreneur. And I think this is one of the things that honestly probably sets you apart, man, is you took the time to go 30,000 foot. And then once you knew that you were done there, you were done. And then you went back to the floor and you worked. And then you would notice like patterns that weren't working. So you'd go back up and you'd observe the whole floor. And you'd be like, all right, I see this issue, so I'm going to go back down and work. And so what most people do is they spend too much time here on the floor or too much time in the air.
Yeah.
And I think it's coming to my mind recently when you need to flip between the two. You come down to the floor when you're in the air, when you see enough work to be done to justify the lost perspective to then solve the problem. When you're on the floor, you go back to the roof, go back to 30,000 foot when you run out of things to do and things are keeping a steady pace. You know,
I like that.
That's the back and forth in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
closely related to what our common mentor, like Sam Ovens, he views things. I heard him once say in an eagle perspective, it's like your 30,000 foot view. You're an eagle in the air. Your eyes are laser. Like they can go in, lock in on something on the ground, just boom, attack it, and then they pop straight back up.
Yep.
And that's what, like Sam Ovens says, he does that all day long. He's just up soaring above. He sees something that needs his attention. He goes in, attacks it, pulls straight back up, does the same thing over and over. And it's just doing that all over. And one of the things as a beginner that really screwed me up was the lacking in frequency of doing that. Like basically you're stuck on one side, like you mentioned, like you're either up in the clouds, you're down on the ground too much. And the frequency at which you bounce between has to be this regular, daily, if not hourly thing. Like it really, I know we're going on a bit of a tangent here, but I think it's important.
Oh, it's good, dude. I like this a lot.
Yeah, it's very similar to the style of which I write copy or great copywriters write their copy, right? Like you kind of look at the whole picture, you step back, see how it's looking, and then you'll drill in and write that sentence. Yeah, and it's this constant like pull back, pull in, pull back, pull in. And then that's really what creates the great copy when you're looking at it as a whole, but you're still taking that action.
That's good. That's good insight, man. And I think, and the reason I speak to 30,000 foot and like floor view is because, you know, I want each of these student interviews to be different. I know a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll interview students and just have like 4 questions they ask every student. And it's like, that's cool. Like you get a lot out of that. Like, cause you know, you end up having different people in the same environment so you can see what those people are really made of. But the problem with that, in my opinion, is that like it can be too robotic. And like if we're gonna go on a tangent, we'll just go on the tangent. Like I don't even care. Like I think as long as the tangent feels like it aligns with the core value that we're trying to bring, which is helping people understand how to do this, you know?
Yeah.
Then we're good. Like tangent away, dude. We don't have to break down the specific $12,000 deal you posted and be like, all right, here's what we're doing, here's what it includes, blah 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 blah. The problem with getting too specific, I've noticed after educating tons of people on this, I'm kind of talking to you right now, Luke. And I keep forgetting that we're on an interview and people are going to watch this. Like the problem with that is people will model too specifically. They'll be like, all right, so Luke did this. So I'm just going to copy his thing. You got to understand, people are contextual. Your life is contextual. Who you are is contextual. What you bring to the table as a marketer, as a business owner is contextual to you. So you look at what people do, but then run it through this filter of like who you are, who you know yourself to be. So then that's the role that self-awareness plays. And then you can make decisions. But until you have that, you don't have anything.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. It goes back to kind of when you give me a template, for example, which is one of the great values, you show me what's working and you teach me to model this thing. Well, if I copied that structure just word for word, it would bomb. Not only would it bomb, it's plagiarizing somebody, it's distasteful, it's dishonorable. You really have to look at it and kind of see like what's the principle being used here, and then you use the principles to craft your own unique spin, your own unique genius, right? And that's where like marketing is fun, and that's where marketing is effective, when you use your own genius and infuse it into like the template. Yeah.
Like it's an interesting thing, man. Like it's the skill of being able to like let your business mirror you and not have this presupposed idea of what it's supposed to look like, or like comparing it to other people all the time. Like your ad copy is hilarious. Like the ad copy that you're using, like for some of these ads, is hilarious. Like it's like nobody would have thought of that but Luke, you know, and that's the point.
Yeah.
And like if you keep that transparency and you keep that fluency, then you've told me that sometimes on these sales calls, like people click an ad, they'll go to your page, so they'll opt in, watch the video, get a call. And you said sometimes on these calls, people feel like they already know you, like there's already rapport.
Yeah.
It's because you're not disconnecting from yourself and the copy and the funnel.
It's all very congruent, and it's infused with my personality, and it's almost infused with this character that I've developed. You know, it's like you have this opportunity to kind of be whoever you want to be, and you kind of craft the character based on who's going to be inspiring, influential, and value providing to that prospect. And as long as you can nail that character through your copywriting, through your funnels, through your webinar, through your ad, you know, it's going to resonate really well, and they're going to feel like they're comfortable being led by you. And I think that's super important to keep in mind throughout the whole thing. It's just like, and make it fun. Like if you can get them to laugh a little bit, you know, if you can get them to chuckle, smile, even smirk, or even scoff, like as long as you can trigger some emotion, well, it becomes what one of my other marketing mentors calls neuromarketing, which is where we're triggering some dopamine responses. We're triggering the neurochemicals, whether that's even anger can be useful so long as it's not directed towards you.
It's just that like you don't want them to feel numb towards you. You want them to feel something. Yeah, so like you'll see a lot of these like big advertisers, like I think I was learning actually, so one of the masterminds I'm in is actually Sam's mastermind, and he was talking about like what he learned from Ty Lopez, and he's like, the main thing I learned from Ty was that Ty wasn't afraid to purposefully look like a total D-bag to the general public. And it's like, because he knew it worked. He's like, he doesn't care. Like he's got a great lawyer. He's got a great insider reputation. His close circle loves him. He's a great guy. But you know, he's just like, he's like the easiest emotion he can spark. And the most common criticism he got from strangers was, you're kind of like a D-bag. And he's like, whatever, lean into that and let that fuel the business. Like why try and change these things? Like if you're getting emotion from somebody, utilize it. You know, like a lot of my sales calls that come in, people tell me, oh, dude, you feel like the most real guy on the market. I'm like, sweet. It's because I genuinely desire authenticity. Like, I think this business model in general, like internet marketing, needs people who are authentic to their core about why they're doing what they do and what they love about it. And if you just do that, then you'll get the right people. So like you attract who you are, and if you don't know who you are, you're trying to be something else. You're not going to attract the right people. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. One of the other things I see a lot of people, or friends even, who are coming in really fresh, is they'll go a little too far with the whole personality character thing, and it'll come off gimmicky, right? Like the personality thing has to be, it's a fine line. You're skating between gimmick and true authentic humor, right? So if you're not a funny dude, like don't be funny.
Don't be funny. Don't try and don't exactly like. It took me a while to honestly realize, like, don't try and be something you're not. But what's interesting is that conversation of don't try and be something you're not forces you to ask the question, what are you? So figuring out what you are so that you can then, so it's a holistic thing. Like, honestly, the people that are succeeding the most, friends of mine who are doing like these like $300, $400, $500,000 months in their business, like they know who they are. They know what they're made of. They know what their goals are. There's no question about it. They have full understanding of themselves. They let that emanate, you know? But dude, let's get a bit more like technical. Like walk us through the sale today. One thing that you told me about this $12,000 close was that you're like, it was weirdly easy. And this is something I've tried to communicate over and over, because I've done these $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 sales. I've had quite a few of them, and they're always amazing. Like the cash flow boost, the feeling of like, wow, like that's a good amount of money just there. All these things are really cool. But like walk me through and try and explain to the best of your ability, like it being easy to your old self that thought it might be hard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll do my best. Yeah. So this sale came through as a result of an outreach I did more than a year and a half ago. And these people went with somebody else, and I knew that they made the wrong choice and that they should have been working with me. So I followed up with them about every 3 months, and I couldn't really get them to transfer over to me. Now, what I did differently just about 3, maybe 4 weeks ago is I sent them an email, and I included the funnel that you helped me build. And this has all the pre-framing. It's our video that we crafted together, and it had everything in it that really like needed to convince them that I was the guy that they should have gone with instead of that other team. So, I mean, the video just did the work. I didn't even have to do the selling. I sent them the funnel there. They watched the video, they got back to me, and they basically sent me an email along the lines of, we've been counting down the day till we could break this contract so we could go with you. But we got some more questions. So we hopped on the call, and basically like they just asked me to recap some of the things that were inside of that funnel video, and the sale was done. And the second deal that I closed today, it was very similar. Like this person, when she hopped on the phone with me, she's the owner of a $5 million construction business. Well, this is a big league stuff. Like 5 million is no joke. But she hopped on, and there was so much rapport just out of the gate. You would have thought like I was talking with a family friend that I've known for 10 years. And it was because they watched me for 20 minutes on this video, or actually it's about 12 minutes. I think the video is. And then they got to know my personality. They knew my mannerisms. And then most importantly, they knew what I offered, the results that it could give them, and the potential upside of working with me as an agency. So by the time we got on the call, it was just very simple. Like I'm asking them some questions and going through your sales process, and it works like butter. So that's how the deals were done.
It's awesome, dude. And I love too that it's a hybrid too. Like this is a lesson that I'm learning from you, Luke, and I think that also others can learn from you. And that's that, like, you're gonna learn like, hey, this is my A/B process that I like put all my clients through, my students through, whatever. But it's like, just kind of like be objective and like look at where things plug in. So instead of like, like honestly, this was my fault. Like, if I were to try a new sales method, let's say for example, I had a sales team and they were doing cold calls or something, and I was getting meetings and closing, and a lot of those leads were dropping. I would like consider them in like a different bucket than these new ones that I'm like running ads for. So it's like I would see like two separate processes, and I wouldn't be willing to merge worlds and like see how this hybrid could coexist.
Yeah.
So you're like sending emails, and you're like, all right, well, it's like you have this intuitive ability to see the role that things play in the grander scheme.
Yeah.
Which is a freaking superpower, dude. It's like
Thanks,
you can see the role that things play in the grander scheme. You can just like, all right, I'm just gonna plug this in here, like see what happens, and it worked. So like, have you done that again? Have you sent previous emails that haven't quite gotten back to you yet the funnel again, or is it this is the first time doing it, or like are you turning that into a workflow? What's the plan there?
Yeah, so it's funny. Basically, my previous way before we started working with each other was cold email to get all my clients. I got 30 clients, my first 30 with cold email. So I obviously wasn't going to give that up just to shift over to what I was doing with you. But once I figured out that what me and you were doing together, which was more of the paid media and the scaling, like that was working. Well, I looked at my old processes through cold email, and I looked and I was like, okay, well, every time I send somebody a cold email, the people who are interested always click on my website link to see like who the heck I am and what I'm about. So I had this light bulb go off. I was like, well, the webinar is working for paid media. Why don't I just kill my entire website? And why don't I just put the link into my funnel right there? So now I'm sending cold emails, and it's just a different traffic source into the webinar funnel. So, we got the paid media, we got the cold emails, and it's going like that. And it's working really well. It's booking calls for me. And one of the hangups with cold emails is there's less pre-framing, because you're just having a quick convo and then they're booking into your schedule. When you hop on the phone with them, well, you got to do the whole sale from start to finish. Well, with the addition of a solid video, like case study video funnel, and you combine that with the email, well, they're pre-framed, they're pre-sold. And that's almost like an ultimate hybrid I'm kind of experiencing, because it's personal, yet it's got the automated touch to it too. And now I'm trying to work in, maybe some of my cold email strategies can shift into the way that I follow up after they go into the webinar, which I have used. And I've got my drip feeds, like for the opt-ins that come in but don't book a call with me. Well, I'm taking everything I learned from cold emails and I'm putting it in. And that's what I've actually been able to go from a 5% call booking rate to a 10% call booking rate. I get 5% right out of the gate, and then 10% come through because of my email follow-up sequences, taking everything I learned from cold email and putting it in there. So, I mean, it's mind blowing. I didn't expect that type of booking rate. And I think, yes, the reason why is because of the way that I'm looking at everything. It's definitely more like a chess game here. And I think that's the key, and the answer to being able to do that. Like, I think everybody can do that, because I was terrible at that. I quit. I was great at sports, and I quit all 6 sports that I tried because I could never see the game. And I think I'm finally seeing the game, and I see the game of business, and I'm good at it. And the reason why is what we talked about earlier: 30,000 foot view, being a hawk coming down, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a blast, man. It's so cool to see. Like, honestly, like, what's fun for me, just in a selfish way, is like just seeing people like you succeed just makes me be like, frick, man. Like, we can help so many people. Like, there's so many people that need what we've been able to give you. And like, you put that screenshot. It was like a photo of you with the $12,000 check in the chat today. And I was like,
Yeah.
dude, because you verbally said something that like might happen on the last group call. And I was like,
Yeah.
like,
you were like, I need to see that screenshot, bro.
I need to see that screenshot.
I was like, I'll do you better. Selfie with the check. We'll have to, we'll black out the details, and you can make that the YouTube thumbnail or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll probably do something like that, man. And that it's so cool to me, because it's like, I don't know, man. It stops feeling like it's of me at some point. It starts feeling like I'm really just pulling from people that like are smart. Like, I've just studied the classics, and you've studied the classics, and we've at some point, just like, my ability to activate your intuition only goes so far. Like, I can, like, honestly, I can only take somebody like 80% of the freaking way. Like, that last 20% jump is like attitude and natural intuition that you develop over time and decision making in your business. And so, and I love that I'm able to still be profitable as an educator and make a lot of money, but also help a lot of people, while being like, look, man, there's some steps you're gonna have to take. And some of the main ones that you take as the intuition of 30,000 foot on the ground floor, being able to hybrid everything together and seeing what role things play together. And then just like taking like loads of action and just being like, all right, worst case scenario isn't that bad, so I'm just going to go all in and see what happens. You know, it's really cool.
That's been the key, man. Like, the massive action. I really think that that's one of the main things that people miss out on. I have experience as a coach too. I used to work as a biohacking coach before I got into the agency stuff. And those people who would succeed would be the people who, you know, I tell them one thing to do, and then they spider it out into 10 different actions, and they've, you know, they're self-motivated to go ahead and do things and just take massive, ridiculously massive action based on the steps. Like, and if you expect them to get something done in 2 weeks, well, it's done in 2 days. And like, those are the people who win in fitness. Those are the people who win in business too.
Yeah. I got respect for you, man. I mean, we're probably going to do an updated student interview as you grow too. Like, you literally, I messaged you. I was like, hey man, let's do a student interview. Your immediate response isn't, let's do it. It's, wait till I get to 30K. I'm like, no, I'm going to do one now, and then we'll do one later, and then we'll do an update. And so like, I love, it's not blind ego that is driving your confidence. It is just math. And I love doing that for people. Like, I think the core thing that I'm able to do for people is help them arrive at a state of genuine abundance via the means of like math and being able to like look objectively at things that are at play in their life and in their business. Like, that's what I'm selling. You know, like you just got written a check for 14.5 or 12,000 plus 2,500 committed. Was there any sort of a commitment on the $2,500 sale today?
3-month minimum, yeah.
So 7,500, so more like a $20,000 day, really, when you look at revenue, not just cash collected. Like, you know, reinvest that back into ads, reinvest that back into, you know, if you want to build your team. And there's all kinds of things you could do with that. And we've got this cash machine with this funnel we've created. I mean, dude, like, frick, you've got your life figured out. Like, what's next? You know, like most people where you're at, like genuinely where you are at. I mean, of course, keep growing. Don't coast. Never freaking coast.
What, dude? I was just gonna stop here. I'm comfortable.
Dude, that's been my problem actually. I'm really comfortable right here. You know that? I'm really comfortable.
We'll see how I'm feeling when I'm at 80K. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's a cool place to be, man. I mean, I don't mind it at all. I mean, we're just sub of $1 million a year. You know, at least when I'm properly pushing. Like, I've taken a slight step back this month because of all kinds of personal stuff, like exciting things.
You're reorganizing at a higher level.
Reorganizing at a higher level, man, just over and over again. Yeah, like I get to a point and then I'm there and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna reorganize, like break the whole thing and reorganize, and then break the whole thing and reorganize. And like, and just let that continue to pull. Yeah, dude, I love where you're at. Seriously, like I'm excited for what this turns into for you, and I'm excited for where you'll be in like a year. And I want to do another student interview then. If you guys want, Luke's active in our free Facebook group, so you're welcome to just hang out in there, chill, um, and just connect. Um, the main thing that Luke's gone through, it currently exists as a group coaching program, but I'm gonna eventually turn it into a proper course and assign some coaches in there, particularly people who succeeded, maybe even like Luke down the line, and just like pay them really well to be active in here and help people. But right now it's a group coaching. So if you're gonna want to get that like one-on-one, just schedule a call, and we'll do that. Talk about getting you in there. Really look for wins. But to be honest with you, like if you're doing revenue, then we can help you. Like that's kind of where I'm at right now. If you've got cash and you're willing to listen, we'll help you. Yeah, Luke, any final thoughts for like people who are beginner agency owners? That's most of my audience, but I know that I do have a good subset of like people who are doing well. So kind of pick which one you want to go after, and then just like, what's some key takeaways so far from this experience, and what's some advice you would give in terms of how to replicate a similar result that you've gotten, and just the mentality that you've used, that you've approached this with.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll address both real quick. So beginners, stop thinking, take action. Like serious, like don't spend any more time on the logo. Don't spend time writing your contracts.
Dude, that's right,
just
man.
Freaking reach out to people, close some deals, get on the phone with people, just do what you need to. And if you're going to spend any more time with education, like just look at Trey's stuff and filter everything through, will this piece of information help me get on the phone with somebody to sell? And if you can't say yes to that, it's literally just drop the book, drop whatever it is. Like seriously, that's the first step. And if somebody told me that at the beginning, it would have saved me months. It would have saved me heartache, possibly a breakup or two. So that's
yeah, dude. I understand that, man. Dude, I track with you there. Yeah, that's why. So you're in our higher tier thing, the group coaching, and our lower tier thing. We've got the first module. Like the only three things that matter are like setting meetings, closing meetings, getting better at getting results. That's all that matters. Yeah, that's great advice. That's freaking phenomenal advice. Is there anything else there? Or is that like the main thing?
Yeah. So that for beginners, that's about it. And then if you've got revenue coming in, my I guess a question to you would be like, if you have a proven concept and you're able to close and you've closed a couple of clients, I'd say like 2, maybe 3 clients, you know, if you're not investing in paid media, or you're investing in paid media and it's not producing calls into your calendar, like why have you not solved that problem? And, you know, all my attention would go there. You know, if you're relying on organic methods to get your clients after you've closed your first 2, maybe 3 clients, it's time to move on and scale up. And that should be where all focus goes. And Trey's great at teaching you how to do so. I mean, I was pretty blind to how to do that. Even though I had 5 years experience in Facebook ads, like I still didn't know how to do it with my own stuff. So Trey definitely knows what's up. And I think you should find a way to scale using paid advertising.
Cool, man. I'm not paying him to say that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, dude. It's cool with people like you. It's interesting that you say it's easier to do for somebody else than it is for yourself. Because that's the nature of it, man. Like it's so interesting. Like even for my business, it is hard for me to build the funnels that I use to attract clients. It's hard for me to, but I know obviously they work. I've spent like 60 grand at this point, probably across the board on these things. And I want to spend like $1 million. Like I want to just crank. But obviously it's like harder because you don't have the perspective needed. It's almost like no matter what, like your 30,000 foot view on your business is only like a tenth of how high somebody else can get in terms of their perspective on what your business is. You just naturally being the guy that runs the thing, there's some benefit that you get from somebody that runs a similar thing to you, but is out of the context of the false beliefs that you hold.
Right.
So the people that help me the most, honestly, are people who are at a similar level to me, but just run it so differently. Like there's a buddy of mine that I played Minecraft with him this Sunday. So I started playing Minecraft on Sundays with like business partners and buddies and top students and stuff like that. And he was like, he does really low ticket retainers. They do like 90 grand a month with like freaking hundreds of clients, like stupid scale. And I'm just like, how do you even manage that? Like, why would you even do that? And he's just like, well, it's just like all VAs. It's like, it's either you do high ticket and they have high expectations, or you do low ticket and they have low expectations. You just put it all on VAs. And like, I'm like, wow, like it's a whole different way of thinking. So he's been able to help with, like different structures. So yeah, man, I love the intuitive nature that you bring to the table. And if there's any one thing that I would give to people who are watching this, it's model Luke's intuitiveness and the student mindedness. These people that I know and myself, I consider myself always a student, Luke's student, everybody that I'm hanging out with right now, we're just trying to learn and figure this out. There's no secret magic pill, but there are processes that have been proven to work just by means of like data and time. You just try and find what those things are and then implement. So thanks for coming on the channel, Luke.
Dude, thanks for having me. And thanks for all
pleasure.
your help so far.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to the next one like 6 months from now.
Yeah. Maybe sooner.
Maybe sooner, dude. Let's just get you back on as our first 7-figure interview. How about that?
Let's do it, bro.
Sweet. All right. See you.
Cool, man.